Hello, we're getting started here. We'll wait for people to start to hop on. This is going to be a fun one. We've got Mozart here for the Intuitive Soul Collective community. I'm excited about this one. The schools over here has got their stuff going off, so we've got a school right over here. As you hop on, say hello. Say hello, say hello, say hello. I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just like inviting people in. So as you guys are here, hop on, say hello. Kristen, Hannah. Okay, super excited for this one. Hey Dawn, hey Sherry. Oh, Sherry just invited you and then I just saw you're on. Hey Heidi, hey Rebecca. Super excited. So Mozart for today. So fun story. So the way that beings kind of pop in for me sometimes is that I'll like not really have thought of interviewing them before. I just had to share this. I don't know why. I'll not have like really thought about interviewing them before, but I was really thinking about, what do I want to bring to the group? I want to start ramping up some really great interviews, more great interviews from spiritual beings with a lot to share with us. And I was listening to Thank and Grow Rich, which is by Pam Grout. It's amazing. She talks about the woo stuff. She talks about the science of appreciation. And she has like these things in there, experiments. We're going to do a book club. I'm really excited. I think we're going to do it in here. So anyways, so there's a part where she talks about Mozart. And all of a sudden I was hearing, I would love to come into your group. And I was like, oh, because I like sometimes I don't even think of stuff. And then sometimes a being will come in and request, and sometimes I'll hear their name and then all of a sudden they'll come through and they'll start chatting. And I'm like, ooh, sweet. Okay. So that's kind of how that happened. He's sitting here on the bench with me and he's got his legs crossed and is just kind of sitting here really peacefully looking at the water. And he's asking me if I would like to look with him. I was like, well, then they don't get the pond. And he's like, they get it. So I'm going to turn around. It's been kind of rainy here. So if it starts to rain, I might have to relocate, just so you guys know. So we went in and got a coffee this morning at the coffee shop. And I just kind of sat, and then we walked around the pond a little bit, and I was kind of in my own little world, but he the team always walks with me, so he was kind of strolling. So I just heard, shall we begin? And I was like, yes. So he's saying, the life and times Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He's just like kidding around. So he's saying, in my lifetime as Mozart, and he's saying Wolfgang, like Wolfgang. He's trying to teach me how to pronounce it. He just went up. He's saying he really enjoyed what I heard about him that made me crack up, and I was like, no way, was that he had bathroom humor. He had a lot of like inappropriate humor. And he was like, oh, I loved it. So he's bringing up the bathroom humor, and he's like, I promise I'll keep it light. I was like, well, we talked to Eric, so you don't need to do that. And I've been feeling this overwhelming like joyfulness as he's popped in here and there. Not just like, floaty, but like joy, like wanting to have fun, that type of vibe from him. So he's saying joy and jubilation were very much my zone of genius. Many of you associate me with my musical pieces, the musical instruments I played, the works that I composed, or as you would say, Allison, downloaded. But joy and jubilation and laughter reigned supreme in my life. They were my reason for living. They were my reason for being, as they are for most beings, but most beings do not tap into them. He's saying tap into them with his fingers like that. They do not tune into the vast symphony that is your collective consciousness and your life. And so he's saying, he goes, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, is a very true statement. And you'll never know what it means if you don't release control a little bit more, if you don't go with the flow a little bit more. And he's saying going with the flow he's saying it reigned supreme in my life. It was just how I tended to adore doing things. He's saying he like adored the gift of life, the gift of not knowing things. He adored being alive simply for the joy of being alive. That's why I allowed so much play, so much humor. And he's showing him with his friends so much camaraderie into my life. What Allison heard in the book quite quickly and clearly was that I enjoyed a lot of bathroom humor. I enjoyed laughing and playing pranks and jokes with my friends. I enjoyed parties. I enjoyed festivities. I enjoyed ballrooms, but I also enjoyed back rooms. He's showing himself in like a back room that's like kind of more of a pub. He's saying prohibition was not a thing. It was more like a pub atmosphere. Because I was asking him, were you hiding? He's saying, no, it was just, he liked to be among the common man as much as I like to be around the upper echelons of society. That which came much later for him. I adored my friendships and my courtships. I heard I was quite the man with the ladies. And so he's saying, I quite enjoyed making music too. And I understood that it was the breath of life that gave me joy, also gave me access to such beautiful pieces that I could play on a whim, that could be composed by me with little to no erroneous effort. Like he's saying, he's trying to choose words. He's like, there was little, one of the things they mentioned in the book, and I was like, oh, is that true? And he said, yeah, was that when he would compose these pieces, he would just sit down and he would get this download, like it would just flow through him. He's literally showing source energy just pouring through him and pouring into his hands. And he just sits down and he's like in this fit of passion and he can't stop writing. And he would just compose the piece in one go. He said, up all night. I would stay up all night. And there was little to no error in it. It was basically perfection as it was. If there was ever error in it, it was because I was momentarily distracted or I tuned out for a moment. So I often was controlling about that time when those fits of passion, he's calling them fits of passion, would overcome me. It's as if they would become me. It was like there was nothing else. There was nothing else around him. There was no one else around him. He almost couldn't be distracted. Like he was in like a zone of creation. And he's saying, I was what you would call trance channeling. Overcome by spirit, overcome by spiritual energy. He's saying what many of you don't understand about the powers of creation is that it's all source energy. So when you are driven, fueled, to create during a performance. He said it's never about the perfection of the performance. It's about the joy and the fuel and the passion of creation. My high vibe, he's doing this again, my high vibe or high frequency joyful state is what allowed me to access this spiritual wisdom as well, because of the creative arts that I was immersed in, because I was in tune with the universe, and he's saying the universe being the world around him, open to life. He was very open to life, open to laughter, open to camaraderie, open to friendship, open to play. He's saying my vibration was quite strong. He said it's what Ashley or some of you would call an enveloping aura. And so I was able to pull in wisdom and insights from the entire universe that was my world, from the universe around me. He said, genius is not what you think it is. It is not someone being smarter, more talented, more prosperous than you. Works of genius are not about intellect. They are about source. They're about source creation, source download, source saying, here, take this gift, take this wisdom, bring it forth in the way that you enjoy most. Use the work of your hands or of your heart He's saying, whether it's the hands or some people bring things forward through song and dance, through speaking. He's like, Allison, you speak. Or write, people write. He's saying it does not matter. Source does not care. Source only loves to be felt and loves to love. Source loves to love life. So he said, so that's how I was. I loved to love life. I loved to have fun. And because I was always playing and having fun, I was not so focused on my work. He's kind of saying, especially later in life, I became a little more focused on fun and jubilation and camaraderie than in the earlier years, when it was kind of like he was told to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and master. He said, true mastery is not in your society, as many of you have incorrectly been taught about hours invested. He's referencing the 10,000 hour rule or the 7-year rule. It does not take 10,000 hours or 7 years or some arbitrary time to master any one thing that you are meant to master. What you are meant to master is your own free will and creative will to be happy and to enjoy and live with joy and jubilation. Source does not care the amount of time it takes, and Source requires no time. So he's kind of like, he's saying time is irrelevant. Time is irrelevant. You do not need to have famous instructors, nor do you need to take tons of courses, nor do you need to invest thousands upon thousands of hours working at something to be the best at it. It is about enjoying the journey of learning it and mastering it. If you do not enjoy it, you will look back on your lifetime in your life review and wonder, he's saying the word foobar, and he's saying, fucked beyond all recognition. I was like, kind of like bullshit. You'll kind of like look back and have that, oh, why wasn't I doing what I loved? Why wasn't I loving the journey? Why wasn't I loving the process? He's saying this being, meaning me, has been through this experience herself where she was in, he's saying sportsmanship, which I was a swimmer, a competitive one. I had like 10 days off a year for like 11 years. I like practiced like every day. He's saying, but she did not enjoy it. And she had a wake-up call of, I do not enjoy this. Why am I doing this? And finally, I quit like mid-season one year. My parents hated it because I've been doing it so long. I conditioned everyone to think that I liked it, which I really was like miserable. And after I quit is actually when my migraines started to go away that I'd had since I was 6 years old. So he's saying it is like that. It is like that. Why dedicate all this time and effort to such things that none of you seem to enjoy or feel enthralled by? He's talking about, this could be anything. It could be anything you're doing, staying at jobs you do not enjoy, working with people you do not enjoy working with. And he's referencing love and relationships, friendships, parental relationships. When you see all with love, and love encompasses all, you enjoy all. But until you do that, you must begin to question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this way? Why must I not be happy, is what he's saying. Why must I not be happy? How can I choose to be happy without hurting anyone? He said, in my life I had many courtships, and I was not quite so gentle with them all. He's very humble. He's like very compassionate. I was quite a ladies' man for a short while. And he said, and a man's man too. And I was like, do you want me to say that? And he because I couldn't tell if it was an aside. Sometimes they'll say something as an aside, as like a sidebar. And he said, yeah, you can say it. I enjoyed many lovers in my lifetime. And what I saw in my life review was the gentleness that was needed with them all, and the care and attention that was needed with myself when it came to romantic love. He goes back to the joy and jubilation part. He really liked to, he's showing himself like playing pranks, like he's hiding behind He's hiding in a next room as someone's like about to come through a door, and he's showing a string across the floor, like 2 inches off the floor, and he's just waiting for these people to walk into this string, and they hit the string, and then there's like a bucket full of stuff that it's like feathers. It's feathers that like fall on them. And they're all like laughing hysterically and just like having such a great time. And the guy who walks through is like pissed off. So he's like, oh, we did not put anything sticky with it. It was just feathers. So he's kind of talking about that, and he's showing himself sitting around tables with beers and friends in like pub environments, just laughing and like slapping his knee and telling jokes. And I keep hearing stuff like racia, like that type of stuff, like he said lots of play, and he's doing this with his hands. He's like, lots of play, lots of action, lots of, he's like, lots of life force, like lots of presence. He's talking about presence. And so he's saying presence and tapping into that life force, playful energy. This is the energy of play, and play equals productivity. Many of you do not associate play, like he's saying, you associate it with idleness, idle hands, laziness. Play the day away. He's saying, play the day away. You will do nothing but fuel and support your creative genius. You are all here as tiny buckets of wisdom, tiny pieces of source, tiny creators, tiny creative beings. And he said, really, you have entire universes full of wisdom and creative life force inside of you, waiting to burst forth. So many of you will begin to learn the way of mastery comes as you master your intuition. Acting upon intuition requires mastery. It requires focus. He said most of all, it requires trust and presence to tap into that life force energy that's trying to nudge you and say, hey, go this way, this way, that thing, this thing, we enjoy this. Why don't we do this more? And so he's saying many of you will begin to have those nudges more and more and be unable to avoid them. He's saying avoid or ignore, same thing. He's saying when you're trying to ignore something, it is because you are avoiding being so happy. He said, why be so afraid to be so happy? Why be afraid to be so spiritually fulfilled? Like he's like showing like a full cup, like a full chalice that just seems to be overflowing with life, like overflowing, and it's like this like beautiful golden he goes, it's butterbeer. Have you guys seen Harry Potter with the butterbeer? I've actually drank it. It's so good. It's like butterscotch beer. He just goes, it is like that. It's like you have this full chalice that's constantly bringing forth life and constantly bursting forth and overflowing. And he's showing it running over the table and over the edges of the table, but it's like touching everything on the table, all the other chalices, all the other people, all the other creators, and how we just like fuel each other. We just support each other. The more play and joy and jubilation, the more wonder and curiosity you can encompass and bring forth into your life and allow into your life. He said, in your minds and your consciousnesses, he's saying, I wish you could see how we see you. We see these tiny creative beings who think they are alone in the world, who have beautiful gifts from God. And he's saying like beautiful gifts and beautiful wonder and curiosity. Like we're all so curious on the inside, but no one talks about it. Like he's like, you hold it back. You hold back that is your love for life being expressed. That is your joy of wonderment. He's calling it wonderment. And the desire to have creative expression is just a manifestation of that wonder and curiosity and playfulness and jubilation that is your source essence. Source wants to be brought to life on this plane of existence. That is why it's a physical reality. The metaphysical is merely another form of where you are, where there is no form. So that's why your existence is so powerful. You get to bring that creative life force to a form if you wish to. So music or art or painting or waterworks. He's talking about people creating like solutions for water shortages or solutions for droughts in foreign countries or for clean water. He's like, it bursts forth in multitudes of ways, becoming teachers, becoming parents, like playing with children, teaching children how to ride a bike. Like it just comes out in all these multitudes of ways where you can find source, you can find love, you can find creative life force in it. He said it's literally your entire world, the smells, the sights, the sounds, the sixth sense that is part all of those, like the enhancement of those sounds, where you tap into that source, where you feel it inside of you and experience the fullness of it on a heightened scale. He said that is wonderment. That is the only difference between me and you. I experienced that often. And I was asking him, what do you mean? And he's really guiding me towards smell, because it's a rainy day, so the smell's really heightened here. I love the smell of like the morning after a rain. And tastes and touch, he's saying when the music would come through, I would see the notes on the page as if they were already there, and then I would write them down and bring them to form. Many of you see the ideas, you have the creative life force bursting forth from you, you have the questions in your minds, you have the solutions at the same time, the answers, but you hesitate to put it into form. That is your creative life force bursting forth from you. So he's saying this being would like to relax and have her coffee. I'm like, yeah, I need a sip of coffee. We will continue again soon. They want to talk more about creative life force. They're going to definitely talk about this in the mastermind for sure, because we have a lot of focus in the mastermind about bringing your ideas to life. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Does anyone have anything? I'm not seeing a lot of comments, so I'm wondering if my comments are working. I hope so. Also, if you guys were in Infinitely Wise Woman, and you haven't paid for your membership in here for the next month, please do so today. Please do so today. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Kate. I don't see any questions. I'm sorry if you guys are questioning or commenting, because I don't think I'm seeing them. I'm only seeing up until Rebecca's comment where she said, I'm remembering that one, FUBAR. So I'm going to get going. He's saying, thank you for having me and thank you for joining us. He said, thank you to Allison for entertaining me with these works of wonderment. He's saying the creative life force burst forth from this one. Watch out. And he's saying, I kid, I jest. It burst forth from you all. So bring yourselves to love yourselves so much that you see the love and the joy in life as well. All right. I heard adios, amigos. Auf Wiedersehen. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming. I'll talk to you all soon.